Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Gnanatimirandasya Gnananjanachalakaya Chakshurunilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavrunda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. So we're going to discuss further. So yesterday I think we discussed few things, but I think I was not very clear. So I'm going to make few things clear and discuss something which is so important. I think those who heard afternoon Kannada class would have heard, but some beautiful high level topics. Okay. Okay. So in the so yesterday basically we read from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 3 chapter 3, and we also went on to 4. But in 3 chapter 3 actually there is one reason, external reason, which has been given as the reason for Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, which was to propagate the chanting of the holy name and to spread love of Krishna. So this is one external reason. Okay. Now this external reason is most important for us. Okay. But from Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's perspective, this was not the reason why he came. But you can say like almost like a side effect, we got the holy name, which is going to give us Krishna Prema. So it is great for us that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and gave us this, but this was not his intention or his core intention. Let's call it that way, right? Maybe it was a side intention. So to give the holy name and to spread love of God. This was the external reason. Okay, now we're going to discuss further. I'm reading from Adi Lila chapter 4, text 7 onwards. Okay, and I'm going to choose drop some verses and so on. Purvena prativira bhare hari pare. What happened to my tune? Purvena prativira bhare hari pare. Krishna avatirna haila shastrete prachare. The scriptures proclaim that Lord Krishna previously descended to take away the burden of the earth. Because yada yada hi dharmasya and paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkrutam. So it is said that Krishna came to take away burden of the earth. Swayam Bhagavanera karma nahe bhara harana sthiti karta Vishnu karena jagata palana. So this bhara harana, bhu bhara harana, taking away this the bhu bhara, the burden from the earth, it is not the work of Krishna. It is the work of Vishnu, who is the palana karta. He is taking care of sthiti, as in srishti sthiti laya. Vishnu has to take care of it. So it is not Krishna's work. Because everybody in creation, they have their own responsibilities to take care. It's not Krishna's responsibility in that sense, or he's not interested in taking care. Let's not call it responsibility, because Krishna is super free to do whatever he wants, but it's not of his interest to do this bhu bhara harana. That is done by Vishnu. Kintu Krishnera e haya avatara kala bhara harana kala tate haila mishala. So we discussed some of this yesterday, but I'm repeating some of this for little lack of clarity that I had not clearly. So the time to lift the burden of the world mixed with the time for Lord Krishna's incarnation. So Krishna appears as well at his own fixed scheduled time. Like I said, it's scheduled, but it is not forced to do it. He's independent, but he's scheduled. He scheduled his appearance once in a day of Brahma. We discussed that yesterday. 7th Manu, 28th Chaturyuga. Dwapar Yuga of the 28th Chatur Yuga. So and why does he appear? He appears to for actually he explains that. Yeah, I'll explain that as we come along. So this time to lift this bhara harana, burden, removal of burden and his appearance, those both time coincided. Purna Bhagavana avatare kale arasabha avatara tante ashi mile. When the complete Supreme Personality of Godhead descends, all other incarnations of the Lord meet together within him. Avatirana, actually they all descended into him, into his body. Who all came? Narayana Chaturvyuha Matsyadi Avatara Yuga Manvantara Avatara Yuga Manvantara Yata Ache Ara Sabe Ashi Krishna Ange Haya Avatirna Aiche Avatare Krishna Bhagavana Purna. So Narayana Chaturvyuha. So there are two Chaturvyuhas, first Chaturvyuha and second Chaturvyuha. So Chaturvyuha, then Matsya Adi Avatara, then Yuga Manvantara Avataras. All of them, they descended into Krishna's body. Aiche Avatare Krishna Bhagavana Purna. And in this way, he is the complete personality of Godhead, Krishna, because everybody is entering into him. Ataeva Vishnu Takhana Krishnera Sharire Vishnu Dware Kare Krishna Asura Samhare. At that time, therefore, Lord Vishnu is present in the body of Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna kills the demons through him. So Krishna is not interested in killing demons. So when he appears, when there are demons being killed, that is a Vishnu in his body who is killing all the demons. Anusanga karma e asura marana elagi avatara kahi se mula karana. Killing of the demons is secondary work. So now Krishnadas Gavraj Goswami is saying, I shall now speak the main reason for Lord's incarnation. Prema rasa niryasa karite aswadana raga marga bhakti loke karite pracharana rasika shekara Krishna parama karuna edui hetu haite ichara udgama. So Lord's desire to appear was born from two reasons. First, the Lord wanted to taste the sweet essence of the mellows of love of God. So like we discussed, there are four rasas predominantly, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsala, Madhurya. And the Lord and his devotees exchanged all these mellows with the Lord, and the Lord came to taste the sweet essence of these mellows. Okay, and he wanted to propagate devotional service in the world on the platform of spontaneous attraction. So this is called Raga Marga. So yesterday we discussed saying that in Vidhi Marga, one will have Aishwarya Bhav and he will go to Vaikuntha. But if somebody wants to go to Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, he has to develop what is called as Raga Marga. Raganuga Bhakti. He has to develop Raganuga Bhakti. So how does one develop Raganuga Bhakti? That also Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will tell further. But Krishna came with these two reasons: to taste the sweet essence of the mellows of love of God, of all those rasas, and to give this Raga Marga Bhakti. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. That is why, ISKCON, which is following this Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya, is mainly coming from Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is the reason why we are called Rupanugas, and we are followers of Rupa Goswami, who is a Ragatmika Bhakta, who is actually a pure devotee in Goloka Vrindavan, and following footsteps of the devotees in Brajabhumi is called Raganuga Bhakti. Following the devotees in Goloka Vrindavana. So those who are serving Krishna in Goloka Vrindavana, following those devotees are aspiring to serve like them or serve them in their service to Krishna. All of this is called Raganuga Bhakti. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach Raganuga Bhakti. So that is why he is called as supremely merciful. We say Namo Mahavadanyaya. Is very extremely powerful incarnation, because no other incarnation of Krishna gave this actually. No other incarnation of Krishna. Krishna himself did not give. See, when Krishna comes to this material world, what does he say? He says, Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam raja. Don't talk otherwise. Full surrender. Don't surrender, don't come to me. That is Krishna. Sarvadharman parityaja. Sarvadharman, not 50%, 60%, 70%. No. 100% you have to surrender if you have to come to Krishna. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not like that. He is giving what even Krishna didn't give. Krishna didn't give love for himself. Krishna didn't give Krishna prema. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave and gave Krishna prema. So he is even more merciful. So okay. Mora putra, mora sakha, mora pranapati, e bhave e more khare shuddha bhakti, apana ke bada mane amare samahina, se bhave hai ami tahara adhina. So he's saying that if one cherishes pure loving devotion to me, thinking of me as his son, friend, beloved, regarding himself as great, and considering me his equal or inferior, I become subordinate to him. So we discussed this in Goloka Vrindavana. Everybody thinks about Krishna as either equal or subordinate. Nobody thinks of him as being superior to them. Though he is actually superior, but he doesn't, in Goloka Vrindavana, he is not superior. Everybody just treats him like friend, dear Krishna, our friend Krishna, our son Krishna. Gopis think of him as our lover Krishna. So it's, but nobody thinks about him as, Supreme Lord Krishna. No, nobody thinks about him like that. And Krishna says that this actually captures me. He'll say that this is what captures me. It subdues me. So if and if suppose say this kind of, this is sweetness, this is madhurya. If this madhurya is not there in Goloka, then Goloka doesn't remain Goloka. So which means that, for example, if Mother Yashoda thinks about Krishna as Supreme Lord, how is she going to bind him? If she's not going to bind him, then we're not going to hear Damodar Lila. And we're not going to hear that Krishna is like, crying in front of his mother. Right? So this sweetness in the pastimes in Goloka Vrindavana, now this sweetness is not there in other pastimes. When Krishna appears as Varaha or Vamana or Matsya, this sweetness is not there. His Aishwarya is demonstrated mostly, right? But Krishna's sweetness is demonstrated only in his Krishna Lila. So he's saying, if suppose that they start considering him as a Supreme Lord, how can the sweetness be expressed? And if the sweetness is not expressed, there's a problem. And what is that problem? That he's going to say no. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is going to say no. Anyway, so I don't know where it is. Okay, it's there in the future verse. Okay. So he's saying, no, all of these pure devotees are there with me in Goloka Vrindavan, and they are serving me in all these different rasas. So Krishna is thinking, E Shuddha Bhakta Laya Karimo Avatara Kariba Vividha Vidha Adbhuta Vihara Vaikuntadye Nahi Ye Leela Prachara Se Leela Kariba Yate Mora Chamatkara. Taking these pure devotees with me, I shall descend. So now Krishna came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with all his associates from Goloka Vrindavana. So one thing we should understand, all those associates who are part of Chaitanya Lila are also permanently associated with Krishna in Krishna Lila. All of them have two forms, one in Krishna Lila and one in Chaitanya Lila. And there are two books called Krishna Ganodesha Deepika and Gaura Ganodesha Deepika, which actually describe who is who. Who in Krishna Lila is who in Chaitanya Lila. Very interesting to read that sometime. So he descended with all these pure devotees. He came with all these devotees, and he says that I will descend and sport in various wonderful ways, unknown even in Vaikuntha. People in Vaikuntha also don't know this. In fact, when we read Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which is another scripture, Gopakumara goes to Vaikuntha, he sees Narayana, and then he is still, morose in Vaikuntha. Narada Muni, as usual, he is there to help all distressed devotees. So if any of us have any problems, we can always pray to Sri Narada Muni. And so he comes to Gopakumara and says, "What is this? You're in Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means free from all anxieties. But I see that you seem to be worried. You don't seem to be happy." Then Gopakumara says, "No, no, I want to go to Krishna. This doesn't seem to be my Krishna." Mm. So then Narada Muni says, "Yes, yes, yes, this is not your Krishna." Okay, so you want to go and meet Krishna, then you go further up from here, from Vaikuntha. You will go to Ayodhya, you will see Lord Rama there. From there you go further, and then you will come to Dwaraka, then you will come to Jagannath Puri, then you will come to Mathura. And so you go further, you will know. So then Gopakumara goes, then finally he comes to Krishna. But then in that conversation, Narada Muni tells, saying that, yes, I'm going to tell you something now, which nobody in Vaikuntha knows. And then he discusses Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavana. So it is something that even Vaikuntha Vasis are not aware of, the prema in Vrindavana. So Krishna is saying here that even in Vaikuntha they don't know about this, and we know. What fortunate souls we are. We are privy to something which even Vaikuntha Vasis are not aware. Can we even believe it? And then we look at ourselves, our situations, and think, "Oh, I am such an just like everybody else, I am also suffering in this material world." Where are we suffering? When you think about all these and to what we have access to, how can we compare ourselves with anybody else in this material world? We can't. We can't. We should understand that somehow by arrangement or fortune, we are just fortunate to be here and be hearing all these things. Amazing. Okay. Rajera Nirmala Raga Shuni Bhakta Gana Raga Marge Bhaje Yena Chadi Dharma Karma, saying, why am I coming? Why do I want to come down and descend? Because by hearing about the pure love of the residents of Raja, by hearing about how the devotees in Raja serve me, the devotees in the material world will worship me and will come on to the path of Raga Bhakti. So which means, and then he says, okay, abandons all dharma and karma. So give up all dharma karma. Those who want to do dharma karma, sorry. Give up all dharma karma and then engage in Raganuga Bhakti. So how do we get access to this Raganuga Bhakti? Is by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, is by hearing the pastimes of Krishna in the 10th canto. But for us to reach there, we have to read from first canto, second, third, etc., etc. Finally come to 9th and then go to 10th and then read the 10th. And first time we read that, we will understand maybe 20-30% of it only. And then we have to again read and then again read, then again read. So we have to keep doing this till Raganuga Bhakti becomes established in our heart. So which means that Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, without regularly daily reading Bhagavatam, we cannot come to Raganuga Bhakti. It's very important that we do Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So Krishna is saying this is the reason. So when he comes down and does all these pastimes, it is so that all of us who intend to serve Krishna in these moods, we hear about how the Vrajavasis are serving Krishna, then get attracted by that mood. We'll get attracted by one of the moods, by either Dasya Bhav, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. And then we also want to serve Krishna in that mood. So then we get on to the path of Raganuga Bhakti. The process is the same, chanting Hare Krishna, Shravanam, Kirtanam, everything is the same. It's a stage of bhakti where internally we are doing Raganuga Bhakti, externally we are doing Vaidhi Bhakti. So anyway, for us at this point of time, we can just understand this much. When we come to that stage, we will know where we are and where we have to go, and Guru will guide us. So we don't have to worry about it right now, but just understand that we are in Vaidhi Marg, we have to go to Raganuga Marg. And that Raganuga Marg gets revealed when we do Shravanam of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Okay. Now we'll come to the. So we now discussed two reasons. The first reason was to spread the name, chanting of the holy name and love of Krishna. Second one was that he wanted to taste the sweetness of the rasas and he wanted to give the Raganuga Bhakti, Raganuga Marga. So these are two external reasons. Now comes the most confidential reason why Krishna appears as Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. Now there are four rasas. So we know there is Sakhya, there's Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. We don't consider Shanta as important because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami doesn't consider Shanta as important. Okay. So these four rasas are there. Now in each of these rasas, the devotees don't consider Krishna as a supreme lord. That is very clear. And each of them thinks that his or her sentiment itself is the best, which it is. From their perspective, it is the best. Okay. But here Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, but if you compare in an impartial mood, if you compare all the different rasas in an impartial mood, it is very clear that this Madhurya rasa or Shringara rasa is actually the sweetest. Is the sweetest. It is superior to all others in sweetness. And that rasa which is the sweetest is what attracts Krishna the most. Okay. Now I'm going to explain why this Madhurya rasa is so sweet. And this is the heart of understanding Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's descent. Okay. So Madhurya rasa. Okay, what is Madhurya rasa? Atha eva madhura rasa kahitara nama swakiya parakiya bhave vivida samsthana. So there are two aspects in this Madhurya rasa. What is the first one? Swakiya. The second one is parakiya. Okay, so now some things I'm going to discuss now. If you're not able to understand, don't worry. Don't develop any offensive feeling to Krishna or think that he's unethical or anything like that. Just as much as we can grasp, we grasp. Rest, we will wait for purification. Okay. So in this, there is one which is married, wedded. Swakiya is wedded, married. So it is just like any other conjugal loving relationship between a husband and a wife. Very easy to understand, right? This exists even in Vaikuntha between Lakshmi and Narayana, between Rama and Sita. So this is okay. This everybody understands. Okay, husband and wife, they love each other, and there is rasa. Okay, Swakiya rasa, understood. Now the second one is the more difficult one, Parakiya bhava. Okay. Parakiya by definition means outside marriage. Okay. So this is unwedded love, which is considered as the least, grossest, lowest in on earth or in the human society. So we should also understand why this is. Okay. Those who have read Bhagavad Gita, you know that this world is a perverted reflection of the material of the spiritual world, right? So there is a tree, and the tree is seen as reverse, ulta, as reflection in the material world. So now, when a tree gets reflected in water, what happens? Whatever is at the top, how does it appear in the reflection? It appears at the most bottom, right? So this Madhurya rasa, Parakiya rasa, which is the topmost in Goloka Vrindavana, higher than Swakiya. So which means that On top of that tree, it is the topmost. What happens when it gets reflected in the material world? It becomes the lowest, right? So that is why this Parakiya Bhav is considered lowest in material world. Now we should understand that is because this is perverted. It's a perverted reflection. Perverted means contaminated, spoiled, disturbed, distorted, whatever you want to call, right? No, it doesn't reflect. It doesn't actually reflect the real thing. So we should understand what the real thing is, and we should not get confused with the Parakya Bhav of the material world. So what is this Parakya Bhav of the spiritual world? And there are various things here. So first I want to explain why Parakya Bhav. Okay, before that, so we should understand that Krishna, he did his Vrindavan pastimes. Mostly he was, by the age of 11, he went to Mathura. And then after that, he goes to Dwaraka and, finishes all his pastimes. And then he only comes back very later. Of course, in the middle, he meets them in Kurukshetra. But otherwise, he actually comes back after he kills Dantavakra at the end. Again. So these pastimes with the Vrajavasis happens when he's at a very young age, up to 11 years. Now, in these 4 rasas, if you think about it, there is no opposition to serving Krishna in Dasya, right? Krishna has so many Raktak, Patrak and all. There are many devotees who are his helpers, who help him in bathing, clothing, decorating him, giving him food, etc., etc. So many, like what we generally call menial. Now it's not menial because it's connected to Krishna, but they are serving as servants, his servants. So that is Dasya. Now there is no opposition to serving him in Dasya because everybody knows, oh, okay, they have to serve Krishna in this way, this way. Okay, everybody is okay. Everybody is happy with that. Okay. Then Sakhya, all Krishna's friends, Stoka Krishna, Arjun, Sudama, Sridama, Madhumangal, Amshu, so many of his friends are there. So Krishna has beautiful, loving relationship with his friends. Every day, in the morning they get up, go to milk the cows, then they play, wrestling. They wrestle with each other. Then they come back. Then all of them take their bath. Then mostly Balaram, Madhumangal, Sridham, and Krishna, along with Nanda Maharaj and all his brothers, they have breakfast. Okay, all of this is part of what is called as Astakaliya Lila, which I'm not going to explain now, but I'm just mentioning. I would create more enthusiasm, excitement, because only then we become more committed to Krishna Bhakti. So he has his breakfast. Then after breakfast, all of them, actually all the cowherd boys, they go to the forest, right, with their cows, etc. And when they go, they play all kinds of games like we used to play when we were young, gilli danda, then playing football with some bale fruit, climbing trees, jumping on each other's shoulders. So many beautiful games they are, and Krishna is happy with them. And again, there's no opposition for this. Everybody is happy. Oh, Krishna enjoys with his friends, 5 friends. Good, no issues. Vatsalya, of course, nobody can have any problem. Those who can have problem is his parents, if at all they have any problems with Krishna. But a very happy parental, the whole relationship, and everybody yearns to take position of, as in, be elder gopas, gopis, to serve Krishna because it's so loving relationship. So again, no issues, no opposition. Swakiya, it doesn't happen in Goloka, so we don't have to discuss. But just to discuss, it happens in Dwaraka, and again 16,108 queens, formally married, absolutely ethical, acceptable in the society. All of them are acceptable. It's okay to do bhakti in any of these rasas. Now let's think about Parakya. Now, what does this Parakya mean actually? Okay, I'm going to tell two concepts now. Again, like I said, if you how much ever you can understand, you understand. Otherwise, don't worry too much about it. When the time comes, it will get revealed to us. Um, so in there's a book called as Jaiva Dharma, written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So in that, he describes this. He says, saying that in Goloka, see, Krishna is supreme pure. Okay, so Krishna cannot be engaged in anything impure, and pure and impure is all belonging to this material world. So which means that there is nothing impure in the spiritual world. So which means that there cannot really be anything like Parakya, which means that somebody married to somebody else but loving someone else. This is Parakya. Okay, this cannot happen at all in the spiritual world by definition. By virtue of it being the spiritual world, this kind of unholy stuff cannot happen. So while there is Parakya Bhav, it is not actually real. It is called Abhiman. Okay, now what this Abhiman means is that the Gopis and Radharani, they have this feeling in them that they are married. And this is set up by Yoga Maya, because this Parakya Bhav is the sweetest. Now I'll tell you why this is the sweetest. So really Gopis and Radharani in spiritual world are not married to anybody, but it is their Abhiman. It's their Abhiman, it is their feeling that they are married to somebody else. And that is retained, that mood is retained. I'll tell you the reason in a short while. But when they appear in Vrindavan, in Bhauma Vrindavan, on this material, on this earth, all of them appear as daughters of different Gopas, Gopis. Now it so happens that Yogamaya, who is taking care of all Krishna's pastimes in this material world as well as in spiritual world, so she now all of them, all the gopis, all their parents, everybody. I mean, Krishna is so attractive. Everybody wants him. Everybody wants him, right? And all of these parents, they want their daughters to be married to Krishna inevitably. There's nobody else. There's no second choice. And the gopis also want to marry Krishna. You would have heard they did that Katyayani Vrata and all that because they wanted to marry Krishna. No, and of course, Krishna also accepts, right? Gandharva, he marries them by Gandharva, right? Gandharva way, which is verbal agreement. And then, they are supposed to get married formally. Now, but what happens is because of various reasons, Yogamaya prevents their marriage and convinces. And what is the reason? The reason is that at 11 years, Krishna is going to go to Mathura and then will go on to Dwaraka. And he's not going to be with them, with their wives, so-called, if they get married in Vrindavan. So Yogamaya knows this. So she says, no, 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 this marriage should not happen. And then she convinces all their parents and also Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj to not have them married. And then they are married to other Gopas. Now, while they are married to other Gopas, now just think about, like I said, Swakiya Bhava, very easy, husband and wife, loving relationship, everything happy, everything going fine. Now look at this Parakya Bhava. Okay. Now they are present, they are married to some Gopa, they are in their house, mother-in-law is there, father-in-law is there, husband is there. Just like all of us are trying to do bhakti to Krishna. Now, there are people who are married here, and as married women, you want to love Krishna. Is this unethical? Is this wrong to try and love Krishna? No, there's absolutely nothing wrong. So just like that, the gopis, their husband, their wives of some other men, but they want to love Krishna. They want to serve Krishna. Now, if suppose say you want to do bhakti and you have absolutely no support in your house, how do you feel? I know devotees who are going through this experience, and I tell them, don't forget what you're going to hear now. Okay, this mood of trying to serve Krishna, even though you have opposition, is very close to Parakya Bhav, which means that you have to become enthusiastic, saying that my suffering is not going to go in vain. My suffering will possibly help me understand Parakiya more than anybody else can, because you are trying to serve Krishna in that opposition. And this is amazing. So Krishna will reciprocate more with such devotees who are trying to serve him in this mood of in going through all kinds of difficulties, be it bodily, mental, relations, etc., etc. So we should never be sorry if we are having problems in material life. We should understand, oh, this is like real, internship. We are going through real internship for reaching Parakiya Bhav. So these gopis, in spite of all their difficulties that they have to face, they want to love and serve Krishna. And Krishna likes that a lot because in spite of all oppositions, they want to love and serve him. That is the reason this Parakiya Bhav is the topmost. The topmost. And Krishna just loves these devotees who are serving him in that mood, because they've practically given up everything for him, everything, literally. That is why Krishna says after Ras dance, he says, like, you've given up your own prestige also for my sake. See, and in Goloka Vrindavan, while we might hear all these Ras Leela and all, we might think, okay, gopis are enjoying with Krishna. No, there is not even a tinge of sense gratification, self-satisfaction. Nobody is doing anything in Goloka for their own gratification. Everything is based on Seva Bhav. This is a very high topic which we will discuss some other time, because it will go into very detailed discussion about how gopis feel, and how Krishna feels about what gopis feel and all that. So we won't get there. But the point is that this Parakiya is hence, because of these reasons, it is the topmost. It is most dear to Krishna. Most dear to Krishna. So that is why this Parakiya Bhav, which is grossly misunderstood in the material world, is the topmost platform of love for Krishna. Topmost. And this is what we are aiming for. If you didn't know, in ISKCON, we aim for Parakiya Bhav. Because we want to go to Goloka Vrindavan and we want to serve him as gopis. Of course, I mean, some might question saying that, no, what if our Swarupa is something else? What if we are Sakha in the spiritual world? Okay, then you'll go back as a Sakha. But mostly it will be Gopi Bhav. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to, now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is assigned, we are talking about this. Now he wanted to, Krishna now says, okay, gopis are all exalted. Now what about Radharani? Now Krishna can maybe to some extent or to a great extent understand gopis, but he just cannot understand Radharani. Why he cannot understand? Who is this Radharani? Briefly. So Krishna, he wants to, he's Satchidananda, he wants to enjoy himself, he wants to be happy. So one day he's sitting in Goloka Vrindavan, he's sitting in a garden, and the garden is full of beautiful, colorful, you know, colorful flowers and all kinds of insects and bees and humming and beautiful river and lakes and, amazing atmosphere. He's sitting, but he's sitting alone. He's sitting alone and he feels, oh, such a nice environment, but I don't have anything to do. I don't have anybody to enjoy with. All of us, we want somebody to enjoy with, right? It doesn't have to be husband, I have a friend, somebody. We want somebody to enjoy with. We can't enjoy alone. So Krishna was thinking, I need somebody to enjoy. And then suddenly when he thought of it that way, from the left side of his body, one form appeared. One form appeared. And immediately that form, as soon as it appeared, it saw that there are so many beautiful flowers. It immediately, that form runs behind these flowers, get those flowers and offers it to Krishna. Who is this person? This person is Srimati Radharani. Her whole existence is based on this seva. Aradhyate, Aradhana, Radha. So Radharani appeared from Krishna just for serving Krishna and making him happy. This is the reason for our existence. So Radharani also doesn't do anything which doesn't give pleasure to Krishna. We should understand this, because when we read some of these, pastimes, it almost always looks like Radharani is trying to enjoy or the gopis are trying to enjoy, but no, they are not. This requires very deep understanding of rasa for us to come to that understanding, saying that nobody is trying to enjoy. Everybody is trying to please Krishna. Okay, now anyway, so this Radharani manifested to please Krishna. Now, and she's literally not different from Krishna because she came from his body. And she is trying to please Krishna. Now she's as powerful, as expansive as Krishna is. So Krishna tries to understand Radharani. Radharani expands herself in terms of her way she serves him, way he loves him. So Krishna cannot understand her at all. And Krishna is thinking, saying that, how do I understand her? I want to understand. I mean, I just can't understand. How does she love me? Why does she love me like this? So then Krishna decides, okay, if I have to understand her, there's only one possibility. I have to take her mood. I have to take her mood. Literally, I have to enter her heart. But Radharani doesn't allow Krishna to enter her heart. So he says, okay, there's only one way, that I have to take the mood of Radharani. So then what happens is that, so Radha and Krishna come together. So Krishna appears, he takes up the mood of Srimati Radharani, complexion of Srimati Radharani. Instead of his black complexion, Krishna now takes a golden form. So Krishna appears to understand what he wants to understand, three aspects about Radharani. First is the glory of her love. Saying that, what is it? I mean, it's amazing. Nobody can understand. So he wants to understand the glory of her love. Second, Krishna has so many beautiful qualities. Each person looks at Krishna qualities differently. Each one is attracted by different qualities of Krishna. Now he wants to understand, saying that I have those wonderful qualities. How does she experience them? What qualities does she like in Krishna? Why does she like them? How does she like them? So he wants to understand this. This is the second aspect. And the third aspect is the third aspect. Very difficult. I try to remember. I keep forgetting. Yeah. Okay. Second aspect is wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love. So because of her love, she relishes some qualities which others can't relish, and nobody can relish the way she relishes. So Krishna wants to understand this. The third one is the happiness she feels. The happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love. Second one was her love. Third is when she experiences his love, what happiness she feels. So these three aspects Krishna wanted to understand. And so in the mood of Srimati Radharani, he appears as Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So Krishna, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not different from both Radha and Krishna. And this is revealed to Ramananda Rai when he meets Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows his form of, being one form with Radha and Krishna. So this is amazing. Radha Krishna themselves have appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared to give us Krishna Prema in the mood of Srimati Radharani. That is why this is Parakiya Madhurya Bhava, what we are going to get by chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It is this glorious day that, we should all, we are all waiting to celebrate Gaura Purnima. So we should understand the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is unimaginable. He is more merciful than any other incarnation. because he's coming to give something that nobody, many of even like Vaikuntha Vasis are not aware. Mm. So this is the beauty. And if we want to get Radha Krishna Prema, we have to get mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why when before we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we chant the Panchatattva mantra. And mainly we start with Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda. So when we pray, we should be in this prayerful mood. When we chant this mantra, saying, I am so unqualified. Only by your mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that I can get Radharani and Krishna's prema. So if we surrender to them, if we surrender to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and chant with love, then we will develop Krishna prema. Okay, so I'll stop here for today. This completes the reasons for the Lord's appearance. Tomorrow, Krishna willing, we will read about the appearance itself from Chaitanya Bhagavata, and there are about 300 verses, so we'll see how much we can finish. But this is the Amrita that is flowing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any questions, I can try to answer to whatever extent I know.